Hi, my name is Matthew Bellisario. Welcome to the BellisarioSonic YouTube channel. Today, as promised, starting the series of Thelonious Monk reviews from the Riverside Tenor Sessions box set, which I did an unboxing for you guys about a week ago. And so I opened this up and showed you guys what was inside, but I'm going to start doing reviews of each of these 7 records. And today I do have a comparison to make between this QRP mastered from all analog tape by Kevin Gray. Of course, this being the box set from Acoustic Sounds. I'm going to be comparing it to an OJC version, which is this right here. And as I've done some comparisons to the OJCs before, and they usually are brighter sounding than more mid-rangey, more top end, and I think that they come probably from a digital source. The older OJCs. I'm not talking about the new series, but these, for a budget record, these are actually not bad in my opinion. Most of these sound pretty decent for what they are. So it's going to be interesting to compare this again to the Acoustic Sounds. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about this album. I'm going to go ahead and put on, and we're going to play the first tune, which is Brilliant Corners. And Brilliant Corners, of course, is an interesting album, and the tune itself is very interesting. This was recorded October 9th, October 15th, and December 7th of 1956. Released April 4th, 1957. This is an interesting time for Monk. Because this is really a turning point for him. And this album itself really is a pivotal point in his career, because in 1959, Orrin Keepnews of Riverside brought Monk into his stable of musicians. And Monk, of course, had already recorded at Blue Note between 1947 and 1952. He recorded at Prestige between 52 and 54. And a lot of great tunes he wrote. Really ahead of his time. And despite all of his peers saying how brilliant he was, his records just weren't selling. And so Keepnews bought him out of his contract for $108, or another interview says $130, but whatever the case it may be, they got Monk at a bargain price to go ahead and buy him out of his Prestige contract because he just wasn't selling. But his time at Riverside is going to be very important for him, and these are maybe arguably his best recordings are at Riverside, although some of the Columbia records are very good as well, in my opinion. The album Brilliant Corners, though, was recorded in those 3 sessions in late 56 with 2 different quintets. Took about 3 months to complete. And this was the 3rd album for Riverside. And the first 2 were quite different, because in this particular record, you've got 4 Monk originals on here, where his first 2 records for Riverside were all covers. They was playing other people's songs. So he signs for Riverside. The first 2, I think Keepnews said, hey, let's do some standards, that kind of thing. And then those really weren't selling very well either. And when this album became very popular, this was a turning point for Monk. And at the age of 39, he recorded this album. So it's kind of interesting, because Monk's kind of a late starter as far as recording career goes. He's 29 years old when he's recording for Blue Note as a leader, and it would take him 10 years before he actually becomes recognized, actually starts selling records. But also, everything begins to change with him at this particular time as well, because he gets his cabaret card back. For those of you who don't know what a cabaret card is, in New York City, you had to have a cabaret card to play music in the clubs in New York. And if you were caught with drugs, or you had any kind of run-ins with the law, they would take your cabaret card from you. And Monk got it taken away. I think the famous stories, he's with Bud Powell, and Bud Powell has drugs on him, and Monk takes the fall for him, or something like that. And they take away Monk's cabaret card. But at this particular time, he gets his cabaret card back about the time this album was released in 57, 56. And gets also a wonderful opportunity to play at the 5 Spot Cafe with Coltrane. And of course, the two of the live albums, there are three in this box set. Two of them are recorded at the Five Spot Cafe, which would be Misterioso, and In Action, which would be released in 1958. But on this album, you've got Max Roach playing drums, Sonny Rollins on tenor, Oscar Pettiford on bass, Ernie Henry on alto sax. And the story goes, and Keep News has a great interview on YouTube that you can look up. But he talks about how the first two tunes went fantastic in the studio. Everybody got along. Everything was going great. And then they get to this tune called Brilliant Corners, and which is very unorthodox, especially at the time. Again, I would say Monk is always ahead of his time. But, you had this kind of weird 8-bar A section, 7-bar B section, then a modified 7-bar A section, and then it goes from double time back to, there's a lot of rhythmic changes, and you'll hear when we play the song here in just a minute. But Orrin Keepnews called this session, recording this particular song, he called it Hell on Wheels, because it was such a train wreck. And they had a couple of rehearsal sessions, and they said that Sonny Rollins was the only one that kind of caught on fairly quickly, and everybody else was kind of still being thrown for a loop. And the big thing really is this rhythmic change. But the 7-bar bridge removed another measure from the last A section. So when you hear, you'll notice it's a little shorter than the other one. And of course, if you're not expecting that, and Monk did not give sheet music. He was famous for not giving out sheet music. So he wanted you to play, in the spur of the moment. He wanted you to watch him and listen to him play the tune through, and then he expected you to get it, and that was it. And so Oscar Pettiford, the bass player, apparently got very upset, almost refused to play, and in fact didn't come back for the last session. And that's why you have Paul Chambers as a substitute for that, playing bass on that last session. And for contractual reasons, I guess, or conflicting schedules, you had Clark Terry come in and play trumpet rather than Ernie Henry on alto sax for that last session. So that's why you have that change up in the lineup. But Orrin Keepnews was the guy that saved the session for this particular song, Brilliant Corners, because he took apparently 25 incomplete takes and tape spliced them together in order to give us what we have now on this record, which is absolutely fantastic. But if no one told you the story, you would never know that this tune had to be spliced together, because they never got a successful take, or what they considered to be a successful take. But this album is one of my favorites, although, it's hard to rank the Monk albums, and I'm not a person that's really likes to rank albums of what the greatest is. I think we all have our favorites, but the tunes on this are very engaging. They're catchy. They're very emotional. It sounds like they're going to come off the rails sometimes, but they never do. But this was a real turning point for Monk. Nat Hentoff, a then Downbeat's editor, gave the record 5 stars and said that this was really Riverside's most important jazz record to date, and it really changed the direction of the label and really gave it a boost. And so I'm going to go ahead and play this Brilliant Corners song off of the OJC first. We're going to listen to it together, and then we are going to listen to the QRP pressing. So let me go ahead and take out the OJC, which I've already cleaned off. And there's the OJC. It's kind of got a green label, Riverside label, where the QRPs kind of have more of a blue. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this on, and let's have a listen. And both of these are 33 RPM records, so pretty much a straight up comparison. I'm doing this comparison on the Fluence RT85 with the Ortofon Blue cartridge, going through a shit Monty preamp into Yamaha HS8 speakers. Sounds nice and clear. Fairly bright sound. You can hear the hi-hat, you can hear the drums, the hi-hats, the cymbals. Nice separation, it sounds good. Maybe not quite as much depth as what you would hear on some of the others. I think maybe the piano doesn't quite cut through maybe as much as it could. That might be just the way it was recorded, the way it was mixed. Sounds a little bit, you know, off to the back a little bit. You can still hear it fine. Also, two great biographies to read on Monk, which I'm getting some of the information from for these videos. This is much more detailed, but this is a good read. A great booklet comes with the box set, so it's a great solo. great booklet that comes with this set. All right, so, you know, pretty nice, I think a nice pressing. Again, the old OJCs are good budget records. They sound decent. This is a nice listen, but we're gonna see how it compares now to the new one. So I'm gonna put on the next one. The OJC is a nice pressing. It's flat, fairly quiet. You know, every once in a while you might get a little surface noise, but it's pretty good pressing. We're gonna put on now the Acoustic Sounds QRP pressing, which you can see the label's a little bit different than the OJC, and we're gonna play the same tune now and hear the difference. Let's see. Again, a fantastic album. If you don't have this one, this is definitely, I think, one that belongs in your collection. A very important album and just fun to listen to. Already very much more balanced sounding, warmer sounding. So you don't hear this as much of the highs and the mids. It's warmer, it's got a little more depth to it. Sax sound warmer. Bass is more round, more fuller on the bottom end. So I think it's definitely more listenable. It's not as harsh to your ears. Although again, the OJC is not terrible. It's just you can hear the difference. got more resonance to it, more of a fuller sound. See how the piano sounds. So again, the piano does sound like it's a little further back, but it has a warmer tone to it. Again, the box set comes with these cards rather than jackets. So if that's important to you, then get them single, but you won't get the cool booklet that comes in the box set. And it's a pretty nice booklet. I mean, a lot of pictures, a lot of nice articles. Talks about each of their albums. So definitely an improvement. So the question would be, okay, what if I had the OJC, would I spend the $40 to buy the Acoustic Sounds? And I would say probably yes. It does sound that much better. It's just warmer sounding. It's hard to explain. It's not as harsh, not as many highs and mids that you hear on the OJC. Yeah, I would say just warmth would be what I would say is more of a rounded, full sound. There's nothing harsh at all. Let's check out the solo I wrote. Resonance of those drums. So, you know, I would say more resonance. It's got a more depth, more warmth, and it just sounds better. So, I would definitely say it's worth picking up the new Acoustic Sounds QRP pressing. Again, on a budget, you know, I think I found that when I bought this OJC, I think it was like $15 at a local record store, and so it did serve its purpose. You know, I listened to it quite a few times, but this one definitely, the new one replaces this one. And so for me, having the box set with the cards in it and the booklet works great for me. Again, I've got the OJC with this jacket. So for me, having the box set, it saves space. The records come, you know, just in these sleeves stacked in there. And then you've got your booklet and then your cards that for the front of the jacket and the back of the jacket. So just depends on what you're looking for, but sound wise, it sounds great. Pressing wise, flat, quiet, sounds fantastic. So I'm digging it. So there you have it. The comparison between the OJC and the QRP, and there's a winner here. So I appreciate you guys joining me. Give me a thumbs up. I don't make any money on these usually. These usually get completely demonetized. I think so far I'm up to $8.10 on my earnings for YouTube. And once I get to where it pays out at $100, I will let you guys know, and we'll pick some records together to review. I'll do a live stream, and I'll get your guys' votes, and then whoever, I'll pick up the records you guys want me to review. So I think that'll be fun. Until then, I'm going to go through all of these, all 7 of these albums, and review them all. Some I'll have comparisons with, and some I won't. But I'm going to go in the order that they were recorded. So next will be Monk's Music, will be the next review that I'll be doing. And so stay tuned for that. And again, I'm going to give you some historical background to each of these albums and tell you a little bit about them, about the recording situation and so forth, and where these albums fall into Monk's catalog and so forth. So I like to give you some historical context. And again, these 2 biographies of Monk are well worth getting. This is an easy read written by a French guy, I think, Laurent de Wilde. And this is a really easy read, and it gives you a nice summarization of Monk's life, talks about the important recordings and so forth, but it doesn't give you the detail that this one by Robin Kelly gives you. This goes into great detail. So, for example, in Monk's early life, it has a whole chapter just talking about all of his family before him and how they ended up in New York, things like that, where this one is very brief. So if you want something that's an easier read, that's brief, this is a great one. You can find this used on Amazon or wherever. And then if you want something that's more detailed, that's over twice as long, this one's definitely worth getting. So stay tuned for the other 6 reviews, and I appreciate you joining me. Happy listening to all. Take care. We'll talk to you later.